All right. Get this started up. All right, everyone. Shalom, Brother Lawrence. Drop the link there in the chat. You come on up. We can have this barbershop talk, as we gonna call it. And discuss this new what's good, my guy. Yeah, don't be afraid. Come on up. Let's have this barbershop talk. Oh no, Mace, man. I don't do sermons, man. I do Bible study, man. This Bible study. This is Bible study. That's why I like to have this barbershop talk. I like to do the monologue, going to the premise of what the discussion is going to be. Lay out the scripture for it, and then just we can talk about it afterwards. That's what I like. Y'all come on up. I dropped the link down in the chat. And let's get those likes up. I got to do it myself. Yeah, come on up. Drop it in here again. Okay, got you new. Hey, get those clothes, man. Mace, you coming up today? Oh yeah, Mace. Well, I'm thinking about it, man. Put your the link to your channel in the chat. All right, Lawrence, we'll give you a minute. Yeah, Mace, put your the link to your channel in the chat. Your Mace is starting his channel here. Yeah, put that link in there, man. Drop that in there. You can do it. Yeah, Mace is gonna be having a YouTube channel. I know it's gonna be talking about sports and where it'd be something good and different to have here. To this set of YouTube, it'll be something, have some different refreshing topics and comments and just kind of had it barbershop talk on sports, man. Oh, there we go. I gotta go subscribe. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. And Mace, I'm gonna subscribe on all my accounts, man. I'm gonna get you. Okay. I'm subscribed. Hold on. Oh. Yeah. Subscribe on all of them. Get you going there. Let's see me. Dang. Yeah. For some reason here lately we've been type of one in the chat if I'm what it would be the internet connection. Okay, I'm back. Is that better? Yeah. Better? Okay. Yeah, it was the internet, man. It wasn't the mic. I spent decent money on the mic. It was that internet. I don't know what's going on here. Been having some problems here. Probably that router restarting. Yeah. Yes, that it was the internet. All right. I'm back. Yeah, I'm gonna drop that link in the chat one more time. Okay. Yeah, it's saying it's good now. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta get another give me another Ethernet cable that way I can run some stuff. Run it straight in and go from there. But yeah, I dropped that link down there. Yeah, the Wi-Fi can be done. Yeah, I dropped that link down in there. You know, don't be afraid. Y'all come on up. We're gonna have a good discussion. No, man. No, fasting. Wow. Man. It's crazy. Oh man. Well, it just goes to show something about these women. It tells the tale right there. No, it's it's not an all-in-one. I got it's a two deal, the separate modem and separate router. But it's supposed to be faster. But I know here lately, I don't know. I've been having to restart them here a lot lately. Probably try and get me a dust and blow them off and see what happens. But I think Brother Lawrence probably making it tea. That's what's taking him so long. But wow. Yeah. MBD. Who is MBD fasting? Dang, it's crazy. Man. But yeah, as soon as get some people up here we'll have a good talk. Okay. Mad bus driver. Check that out. All right. Brother Fasting, what's good, bro? My guy, how you doing?
Hey, bro, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Up. Here we go.
Good, man. I had a good night's sleep.
Me too. Brother Lawrence, how you doing?
Shalom, and I heard you making fun of my tea.
No, I wasn't making fun.
You were making fun of me, man.
No, I had some earlier.
This whole thing with this whole thing with this coffee thing, it's got to stop. I can't take the abuse.
Well, I'm gonna drink my coffee still, but hey, I had some tea earlier. I had
don't know,
lemon and
man.
honey. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I thought we was close. I thought we was boys, but
Oh,
you
we are.
embarrassed me in public.
Oh no, I'm not embarrassing you. I just know you was making your tea. It's your ritual.
Mm. Yeah, you know I'm just shaking your chain.
Oh yeah, I know it. I know it. I know it.
Oh, so how's everybody doing?
Doing. Yeah. But yeah, that's. I just wanted to go into the just something came to me about these old fork and knife church folks. There's so many of them, and I just felt it'd be a good subject for today, and we can have a good barbershop talk on it.
Yeah. Well, fasting, you got in here first, so I mean,
Yeah, what's your thoughts on it, fasting?
Yeah, it's I always say everything we talk about. It's there's always a connection. It goes back full circle. It's some of the things that we had the conversation yesterday on last stream, and that's how that's one thing I appreciate about the scripture. It's like you may be speaking about something else, but guess what? They are connected. It's in the same web. So whether it's on one corner or the other, whenever it shakes, it's all connected. Everybody feels it. So talking about applying what you know instead of just pick pointing, and that's the whole thing. We all have different experiences, so it's like I can be a hypocrite and telling someone to do something when I'm not doing. Why tell somebody, oh, you need to do this? Like, let's say, for example, right, talking about working out, you never do anything, you never do it, but you're telling, hey, do it. Even though it's a good thing, you're giving advice, but you doing that, it's coming from like a place of hypocrisy. You're telling others to do what you don't do, and basically judging them. But I'm like, wait a minute, but you don't do it. Yes, you're giving a good advice, but it's like, but you don't do it yourself. You see what I'm saying? It's like, what tells someone, to stop smoking weed when you do it?
Right,
When you're smoking it,
right.
man, don't smoke. It's bad, man. Yeah, just don't do it, man.
And I think the other thing too, it's one thing to tell somebody because you've already developed that habit and problem. It's another completely and separate thing to be judging people on doing that same
Yeah.
problem.
Mm. Yes. And I think that's what mostly people tend to fall in that thing. And
Yes,
you know,
I agree. Brother Lawrence, your perspective, sir?
I got to be honest. I can't say I find any disagreement in what either you said. To be honest with you, it's just one of those. I'm sorry. I don't have much sleep, so I might be a little wonky.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I don't find any disagreement in what either of you said. I think it's not just a problem, but it's a growing problem.
Yes.
Considerably so. You would think that, like I said, there's good actors and there are bad actors, and you figure, to some degree, there's always a way it balances out, but it seems to be going to the far extremes in this case, where it's just growing far faster than its opposite. So that would be my only concern. But again, as we've talked many a times before, that's the nature of things. These things have to come into play as part of prophecy because it's supposed to take us to a result. So
yeah. And that's you know what, brother Lawrence. You see, that's why I appreciate brothers who think, because sometimes it's hard to find people who are like mine when it comes to scripture. And I think a lot of people they look at this mindset, they'll be like, "Oh, you're nihilistic." I'm like, no, it's a script. It's like it's inevitable, right? And
Right.
that's what I was saying about acceptance. There are some things in life you just have to accept. It's just the way it is. All you have to do is find your way on how to maneuver, knowing the inevitable is there. We all know we are gonna die, right? So what live life fearing death? I don't want to die, but at the same time, I'm gonna be smart enough to maneuver so I don't die. But I'm not gonna be living my whole life thinking I may die soon. Like that's you're not gonna live because it's gonna be in the back of your head. Something that you have no control over. There's nothing you can do. All you can do is okay. I'm alive. Okay, let me do things to stay alive because I know sooner or later I'll die, but I'm not gonna be living in a state of I'm gonna die soon. I'm gonna you can't live like that. You have to accept it, and I think many times people do not want to accept the truth, and that's why a lot of people hate the Bible because they refuse to believe the reality. They may say on one thing they believe it, but they don't because their action shows otherwise. If you know everything we're saying right now is inevitable, this whole it's in like me throughout this whole pandemic, I was laughing. To me, it's all a joke. Why? Because I'm like, it's like it's surreal because we all read it since I was brought up. I read about the Bible, the last days, and everything. Right? People been doing quote unquote prediction that was wrong and all that. So people were the Bible, but things are happening as it is written, and people have no idea whatsoever. They're wondering what's going on. And see, the people who know, like I don't know if you guys remember this. Back in May, late May, early June, there was a lot of articles that were saying that by King James Bible was being sold out of libraries. And I remember one person posted on Facebook where he took a screenshot shot. He showed there were some NIV or the translation of the Bible in a book section. The section of the King James Bible was all gone. So they weren't even buying the other versions. They were just buying the King James, sold out everywhere. So I'm like, wait a minute. In a pandemic where there's shutdowns, why is the Bible sold out? Not only any Bible, the King James Bible in stores.
Right.
That means what? People now they're realizing that, oh, I remember somebody said something. So, and I know a lot of people they stray away, life comes in, they walk away from scriptures and all that. But this is like a wake-up call. And that's what I say. For those of us who build a foundation on the scriptures, guess what? We're gonna be okay. Because the most I say what? I will gather the elect to the elect. You don't have to do nothing. The Most High is gonna pull out. See, that's the whole thing. There's gonna be a time in your life where you feel like there's no way out. But if you have trust in the Most High, He's gonna put people in your life. The people who are without hope, they're the ones who like, there's nothing. I'm at the ends. There's nothing because people who lack faith, they have no way out, and those are the doomed people.
Well, I think the one thing is that when you allow God into your mind, the thing is that He actually allows your mind to actually change. So what ends up happening is that you end up, instead of focusing on the problem, which most people do, you end up seeing other ways out. You end up seeing how you have to change things around you to get out. I think that's the main thing. I don't think it's the hope aspect. I think it's more the fact that people haven't allowed him in to be able to change their mind. That way they can actually get out of what they've been stuck in the whole time.
Yeah, but I think I don't disagree with either one of you. I think it could go either way depending on that particular individual circumstance.
Gotcha.
But as far as it goes for what you just said, wow, I lost my thought. I'm sorry. I was like, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was fasting. You were talking about hope. Azen, you were talking about what again?
I was basically saying the problem is that people are focused on the problem because they haven't allowed him to actually come in and change their state of mind.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Wow. Geez, that was quick. What I was going to say is that in either case, that has to happen. That I mean, nothing wrong with hope, and I think that's a big part of it too. But that state of mind has to come first. That has to change. I think a lot of people want it. I think a lot of people need it. But as we've always discussed, all three of us at different occasions and other, they don't want to put in the work. And for me, I find that it brings me comfort. because it's one of those funny things where you know the end game. We already won this. You know what I mean? I mean, we
Right.
won. I mean, we won. We know we did. So the it's just going through the motions of the end game. And the interesting part is when you already have the pre knowledge of who the winning team is, you figured you'd kind of get in line. You know, but you know, you kind of figure, okay, well, this is how it's going to go. Well, let me do this. But you know, you just have people who just want to talk the good game, and unfortunately, this is where a little bit of fast things can come in. They hope they'll be included in that team instead of actually doing the work. While you have the other side who hopes, which is generally for the right reason, and that is to be a better person, to follow the scriptures, to follow the laws and tenets, so they can be a part of that group.
And
Don't know if I said that right. Don't know if I said
you're
that
good.
right, but
No, you're good. And I was gonna add that, and usually when we talk about black people, anyways, they don't live by the hope creed. It's the wish creed. Like,
exactly, yeah. The wish
Senator
factor.
Taylor said, I wish a mother would take my seats today. And here's the thing, because when we're dealing with these low quality people, here's the actual thing, the truth of it. They want the circumstances to change. They never want themselves to actually change, which is why they stay in this problem, which is why they stay in a cesspool of just unquality, of poisonous people, a poisonous environment, and a poisonous mindset, because the only thing they want is the circumstance to change without actually changing themselves. Which is why I said, the most important thing is that whenever you change, he's supposed to come in. You're supposed to allow him to come in to change your whole mindset, how you think about things and how you react and how you act.
Yeah, well, the best example I always give when I try to get people to understand about the change in mindset, excuse me, I'm sorry.
You're good.
The best examples that I have that I always give people is look at every black person who's won the lottery. Their circumstances have always changed in that moment, but their mindset had not.
Right.
And that's why they all end up going. That's why they all end up going broke in less than 10 years.
Yes,
because whenever I have conversations, and I used to struggle trying to find good examples, but there's no better examples than each one of those.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, and that makes me think about what Chuck D said. I think he was on C-SPAN whenever they had him on there talking. He said, "Look, what do you have when you give a fool $1 million?" And they just kind of, it was quiet. He was like, "You got a fool with $1 million." Yep. I mean, he ain't changed the fact he a fool. He just, only thing changes, he got $1 million now. He's still a fool.
And even in the book of Proverbs, it talks about, it says, a fool may be quiet and everybody will think he's wise, because the scripture talks about a wise man. Sometimes it's best to be silent so you can listen. So it says even a fool can be quiet and he will be seen as wise, but he's not.
Right.
Yep,
yeah, because usually fools are always talking some nonsense.
Yeah,
that's true.
If you're silent, you'll be like, this guy, he must know something. And then, but he says what? When he opens his mouth, he reveals his secrets. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So, and see, this is another reason why. That's what I say. Stereotypes, right? They're there for a reason. They're positive and negative. I'll give an example, right? Brother Heisen, you said something very key. When we moved in America, my dad, he came here 3 years before my whole family, my mom and my siblings came here.
Okay.
So my dad, he was struggling, trying to learn the American way. And, the people around him, they were giving him advice, like, even people from the church, they say, hey, you're in America, we recommend you finding a nice neighborhood. And one other African say, hey, bro, if you want your kids to have the best education, go and be in a majority white neighborhood. Why? Because they have the best schools, right? So my dad was like, okay. I mean, in the Houston area, I know in the South there's a lot of black people, and some of the school over there, they have a bad reputation. My dad is like, I always had a quote unquote private school back home. Basically, mostly in Africa, there's no public school.
Gotcha.
Everything is private, so you gotta pay money. And if you poor and you can afford it, then you know what happens. So
Right.
like, school over there, it's like money has to come out. So coming here and having like a free school, like a government public school, so it was something new to him. But he was even still, I want the best school. So we moved an area called Woodland. Now, and we were living in an apartment, like a four was a yeah, it was a 4 bedroom apartment. Yeah, it's like because we're in a neighborhood that was under a district where we're going to more majority white school. The Woodlands is like a rich neighborhood.
Okay.
Some of the families who were black, they will wonder, they're like, how you guys going to such a nice school? But even though my school, we had African Americans who were going there, but it's like when we moved out from the apartment, we actually got a house, and then we started going so some people, when they hear us, like let's say from my mother, something, when they hear, oh, you guys live in the Woodlands, it's like a prestige. But they're like, well, are you guys rich? My mom is like, no, we just regular folks, but we wanted the best environment for the education of our children. So you have people on the outside, they have this mentality. And see, this is when I always say a lot of people's mindsets and fear and what is it, programming holds them back. You as an American, you can live anywhere. That's what I say. Anyone here who's listening out there, who listen in the future, anybody can drive a Lamborghini. Guess what? Because you can rent it. You have a choice. You can rent it or buy it. This is America. You can do anything everybody does, but it comes with a price. But the thing is, that's when you seek knowledge to know how you can go about it. So you, as a citizen, you can rent anywhere. But yes, they're gonna check your credit and everything. But because people have a lot of fear, they'll be like, what? That's a nice neighborhood, man. All them white people, I don't think I'll go. Hey, disappointed people. People don't care. Nobody cares. But see, if you don't understand how people are, then you're gonna have this prejudgment. So that's when I say it falls on the negative prejudice. You say let's say you live in the ghetto, right? You won't say you want something better for your children, but you have this fear in your mind, like, I don't think I could ever get. I'm like, you still have a choice. And I'll see some people make excuses. They say, oh, people can do. I'm like, bro, everybody makes a choice. When I was unemployed, I had a choice to go look for a job or sit on my ass at home. So
Right.
everything comes down to, okay, you have a problem. What can you do to solve it and move forward? And I think when you touch on it, it kind of reminded me about how some people's mindset holds them back. It's like, you're in America, you can afford it. I'm doing it because speaking about my parents, they said we want something better for our children. We minimum, was a middle class trying to better ourselves. My dad at that time was working. My mom didn't speak English, but it's like my dad didn't allow his situation to hold him back. He said, okay, I'm gonna find the best neighborhood, find an affordable apartment and rental house later on to have a nice environment so my kids can go to school and get the best education that's available.
Right. Right.
But the thing is, because of people's mindset, they hold their fears. And watch this city at the Woodlands, what has happened is because more uh non quote unquote whites were moving in that area. Guess what started happening? Those who didn't want to be mixed, they started moving further. So
Right.
it even shows you that at the end of the day, the people who were moving in, they were like, well, this is a nice, well, let's move there. And those who didn't like, they move out. So at the end of the day, it's a choice. Like they had a choice to either stay or move out. So it's like, don't let fear hold you. Be like, oh man, that's a nice neighborhood.
Right.
I don't think I can live over there. Who said so? So when people talk about redlining, all that stuff, I tell people, bro, that's our politics. Guess what? This is a capitalist country. Money talks. If you can afford it, you will have it.
Yeah.
Don't let fear hold you back because of racism and all that stuff. But you can't help people if they're stuck on their ways.
Right. Right. No, you can't. You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. That's the main thing. And it's something important that you noted there, brother Fast, and that you made a point. I mean, the one thing I noticed is that the different cultures that come into this country is that they come in and they use the welfare system to elevate themselves, while most of the people that are here, especially within within Black American society, they use it as an excuse to not have to do anything. I think it's one of the major differences there as well.
Yeah, and I want even since we're here and we're touching on this topic, I remember listening on one of Kuda's shows where some of the brothers in there they were talking about how saying that, oh, when immigrants come here, the government gives them money. I'm like, that's false. Remember, let's say for example, international students when they come here, their tuition is probably double what an American would pay. They charge them more money, but they do that. They give them visa quicker because why? Remember, this is a capitalist country.
Right.
They're gonna give someone who's gonna pay double the price. They're gonna make. Come on in, come on in. And people see, like I said, I tell people there are things people just spew without actually getting events. Do you know how many Americans that I met throughout the years, whether in high school, college, when I tell them about green card, they have no idea what a green card was because they don't understand the whole immigration system. So, like I said, that's when people are like, okay, you gotta get your education. When I got my citizenship, right? When I went to get the interview and everything, this is
Right.
what they really told me. They said, okay, now that you're an American citizen, this is what's available to you. This is this. But guess what? Do you think they're gonna be like, okay, you need to go there and do no? They show it to me, but I have to choose if I want to use it. They say, okay, these are your rights. Know it, memorize it, right?
Right.
So the question is, I'm in natural as a citizen, and I'm told this is what's available to you now that you're an American, right? But someone
Right.
who's born an American, how, you have no excuse. You should know more than me, right? And then the thing is also, there's a misconception. People talk about this. Oh, when the immigrants come here, they have a better life. No, each country, America, when it comes to the immigration, they have a limit of how many people that can come in the country. Like I remember a few years back when they had the lotto system before Trump canceled it for the Congo, they were giving away was it 500 to 1,000 was it free green card, like it's a competition to get a green card to come to America per year. Some country had 5,000, some country had 6,000, so it depending on your country. And Mexico was the exception. Why? Because they already have more people coming here for free, so they don't do that to them. So certain countries have privileges, and not only that, America have contracts deal with certain countries. So when some people come here, you feel like, oh, they're having a privilege. It's on the contract. America has this. Look, America is a capitalist country. Remember that firsthand. You really think people who love money, right? The Bible talks about the love of money, right? Who loves more money than American government? And you really think they're just gonna allow people to come in for free? Come on, there's something going behind the scenes you have no idea. So sometimes when I hear some of the ignorant system, I just see I'm like, bro, you have no idea what you're talking about. This is not how it works. There many immigrants when they come here, you either have the upper class or the poor. There's no such thing as middle class overseas. It's only here in America that I call it a smoke screen to kind of make people feel better. But there's no
Right.
middle overseas. So this concept that people when they come here they're getting privileges. No, that's not how it works. Those who get privileges, quote unquote, they're in the minority. Why? Because there are certain nations that have contracts. For an example, people from Israel, they have privilege. Why? Because America and Israel have contracts. So when they come here, they're going to be in a better position than most of the people from anywhere else. Why? Because America and Israel, they have deals. So you're going to look at them, oh man, but you don't understand the situation. But I guess when you're speaking to a certain crowd, you have to say certain things to get, you know what I'm saying? Like to appease them, like give them sweet words. But I always say there are certain things people are very ignorant. And when I hear some statement as an immigrant, I'm like, bro, you have no idea. Nowhere the American government ever help our family, quote unquote. There were some times where my parents tried to apply for what you call what food stamp. They were like, well, you make too much money. My dad was making too much money, according to. So it's like at the end of the day, it's like they don't care. It's not as easy as you think. But like I say, it's a selling point, to get some people feel a certain way. But like Brother Hazen say, you an American, you should have more privilege than me. You should know more than me. You should, but guess what? The knowledge is out there. A lot of people, like Brother Lawrence say, they just don't want to do the work to go get it. So you can blame anybody. And another thing, I think this mentality is, oh, I didn't get this job because I'm black, bro. Make friends. Look, bro. Look. Check this out. My school, most of my friends were hardcore Republicans. I'm telling. This is Texas. When I say
Mhm.
they were the ones who were telling me to
Yeah.
say, hey, fasting,
Yeah.
forget your nationality. You're an American now. Forget your heritage. You're an American now. That kind of American. And what they would do, they were telling me, they were giving me games. They were saying, okay, you're in this country. This is what you do. And you know what I was doing? I was shut up. I was like, hey, that's why I would say I learned a lot growing up with white kids because I learned how they think, how their parents teach them. And I've been to their house. I've seen how they interact. And I was sitting there. I'm like, these people, they're telling me to forget my heritage and accept being an American. And they're telling me this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And it gave me a broader perspective. I say, now I understand how things is. We as brothers, I think because of the history and because of the media, a lot of black people, they have this mindset of, oh, all white people hate us. And I tell people, I'm like, look, nobody gives a damn about you at the end of the day, right? So what you do is you have to build relationship. Even the scripture tells you, it says, make friends of mammon, because in a time of trouble, it will help you. If you already know these people have an advantage over you, be wise as serpents. Yeah, I don't. I can tell you how many times where things were not going my way, but because I was quote unquote friends with the mammon, things went my way. This world, we are people. You have to use the best things that are given around you. And I think that when we talk about things here in the manosphere, that's why I say it's good to have brothers who've been exposed to different experiences to kind of give people. And I tell people, you know, and some people feel it harsh, and I think we were saying it yesterday. This B1 mentality holds a lot of brothers back because of what the rhetoric the media gives them. Some people they're actually on your side, but because you have this mentality that everybody's your enemy, look, you're in this world, you're gonna have to deal with people anyway, even some people who don't like you. You have to play how shall I put this? You have to play your part and get what you need. And that's how the reality is. That this is what the word of there's a passage in Ecclesiasticus. It says something. It says if you're sitting amongst the powerful, don't overtalk over where they can put you out, and don't speak so that they don't see you. Have a balance. So if you're, and that's why I appreciate the scripture, because the scripture says that you have to be smart. You're in this system, right? That has overtaken you. You have to play your part so you can benefit, so you can have your peace of mind and can have goodness. But if you have, and I think that's what I say, everything they do that they do on purpose. Like, and when, and me as a friend, I say, Black Americans, you don't understand. You are the jewel of America. You don't know your value. Get out of this place so you can expand your mind into a different perspective. You're stuck in this prison. It's like sometimes it's like you can say so much, but like Brother Lawrence said, people don't want to do the work.
Right.
Every Black American who left the country have a way. When I talk to them, they can understand me. Why? Because they have a new perspective. But someone who's never left his city, they've never left their state, they never left the country, they can never see their value of who they are. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes I try to say, but like I say, you get pushed back. Some people they love the prison, but I'm like, you have no idea what you're missing, man. You get out of this prison. Don't stop listening to the music in the background telling you you are this, you are this, you are nothing. Get out of the country and see how much you value it. How much you value. You know, I don't know how many times I try to tell people it goes in one ear, and I don't know. I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. You got anything to add, Brother Lawrence?
Just that excuse me, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Just that we're talking about convincing people who, for the most part, and vast majority, are psychologically damaged people. Um, and to some degree, we can give them somewhat of a pass because of the emotional and mental scars that have traveled generation to generation. But we have to reach a point where we can no longer allow them to use it as an excuse, because any psychological or mental damage that's done now has been self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Um, uh, like fasting was saying, and I had touched on earlier, it's lack of work. It's so much easier to play victim and take something from someone else that you didn't earn, than it is to actually figure it out, get the work done, etc., and so on. Um, I think that um, I'm trying to find the words. Uh, Come back to me if you don't mind, because there's something I have to say. I'm just trying to find the right words for it.
I got you.
So just give me a minute. I'm sorry.
All right. While he's thinking, I'm just gonna go ahead and say here, do this short break. Um, right now, you're listening to Barbershop Talk here on the Oaken. If you haven't, hit that like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe to the Oaken as well. We like to bring quality content here that is uplifting and have good and great, fruitful discussions amongst men looking to better ourselves and give information to help better other men. Just hit that like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe to the Oaken. And you see that ticker running at the bottom. If whenever you choose to, if you choose to, you can donate on my Cash App, which is the $ at Tip Eisensama. Thank you.
Okay. I think I got it. Don't count on it, but I think I got it.
It's all right. I know you got something good.
Like I said, I'm tired, so my brain's not firing all cylinders.
I got it.
But using brother fasting and what he was saying about being an immigrant and coming here, that's another trick the system's using, because when it gets us to fight against each other, then we keep each other down. The last thing that's necessary is for people from another country to come in and succeed where we didn't. So they create animosity between the two. But what blacks here in America don't understand is everything that immigrant did was fully within your capabilities to do as well. You know what I mean? Like the saying goes, there but for the grace of God kind of situation. But I think where American blacks are concerned, I think that it's pretty much done. I think it's pretty much done. I'm beginning to see and understand that there are going to be two types of groups. We're definitely going to have the ones who don't want to do anything, and they're going to fall by the wayside. It's not just so much that's a circumstance; it's actually their choice. For some reason, some of them really want to be that type of person. Then you have the other ones who will claim that they're here to help them, the ones that fall by the wayside, but really they're just making profit off of their misery. And then you have the last and third group who are here to spread the word and the scriptures and to get everybody to understand. That's how I see it breaking down into three groups. Like I said, I may be babbling. I can't get my words straight. I'm sorry.
You good? You good? You good? I pretty much see for me two groups. Just the productive people with and the productive men with the track record, with the good track record of being such. And I get that there are levels of production, but good production is still production. And those that aren't, we just have to separate from those and let them stay there. And you have to separate. I mean, it's like, if you want to go to a scriptural sense of it, because I know people always say, well, what about these people? What about these? God told Abraham to get up, go and leave your people behind and go here because I have something for you better here to do. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's the only thing left to do.
And it's funny because when you look at Muhammad Ali when he used to do talk shows in the 70s, when you look at Malcolm X when he was doing interviews and he talked about separate but equal when it came to black and white America,
Right.
I find if you look at it, it's absolutely fascinating that those same words that they use to speak on that subject matter equally applies to us as a people, separating from one particular group for another particular group. You separate but equal. You go do your thing, we go do our thing.
Mhm.
And it's fascinating. And it's also fascinating that if you look at the history from that black-white aspect and how we would have Rosewood, Black Wall Street, et cetera, and so on, and how white people reacted to us in that, I promise you we'll get the same reaction from the blacks who don't do the work. It's going to be the exact same thing. That's why I tell people, we can talk about white people all day, every day, but it doesn't matter. The people that I find myself in fear of more often than not look like me. Because
Yes.
that's my particular history. That's my particular circumstance. Generally speaking, like Fasting said, for the vast majority of white people, they really don't care about us. They really don't. As long as you're
Right.
not crossing their line and they don't cross yours, they genuinely don't care. And you can see that in the response when something happens to us in police situations. Oh, that's sorry to hear that. That's too bad. But other than that, they keep it moving. they generally have an apathy towards us that it just doesn't matter to them. It's our problem, not theirs. And they're absolutely right in that. They're absolutely right in that. So that's the worst I'm going to get from them. But when someone who looks like me, I become successful, they're going to start getting mad because they feel that it
Right.
belongs to them. They literally feel it belongs to them. It's not them waking up and being jealous. They wake up and believe. You understand what I'm saying? Not think
Right.
about it,
Right.
not consider it, not contemplate it. They believe what you have is rightfully theirs, and they will come take it. That's a whole different kind of beast.
Yeah, it is.
That's
It is.
a whole different kind of beast. So you know what I'm saying? So like I said, as much as it might pain me to say so, and I know a lot of brothers and sisters don't want to say it out loud, but let's be real. Let's say it out loud. I'm afraid of my people.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of my people more than I am anybody else. For real. And that's all I got to say about it. Because I don't know where else to go.
and that's why I mentioned yesterday. I say the greatest enemy is gonna come from within. So that's why I say this whole thing about the enemy on the outside. I'm like, yeah, you saying that because you can see him, but the real enemy you can't see him because he looks just like you. That's how
Yeah.
even in warfare, right?
Yep.
What's the
Right.
saying? Divide and conquered. There
Yeah.
is no way Alexander the Greek would have become a great empire if they didn't infiltrate the Persians. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's what even history tells you. Some of the ministers in Persia were Caucasians. They were Greeks. They split the empire, and that's how theirs was able to fall. Because once you have people divided, the kingdom will not stand, and that's why Greece was able. And what happened when Alexander the Greek, as an emperor, they poisoned him, they killed him. Guess what happened? is split into four parts. Right? It's
Mhm.
telling you if there's division, it's not gonna work. Everybody went
Mhm.
their own way.
Oh yeah,
It's like it's not gonna be from the outside, it's always from the inside. That's how it is.
yeah. And like I said, look, in all my years, I've gotten far more respect and assistance from people who don't look like me than people who do. And to make matters worse, to be honest with you, there really wasn't much a choice for me to take that path. Because if I'm in the hood, which is where I grew up in Brooklyn, there was nobody for me to go to because nobody could even fathom what I was trying to create.
Right,
Because it was always met with resistance. Oh, why are you trying to be better than everybody? Oh, why are you trying to act white? Oh, you think you're smarter than everybody else? Well, yo, if you make it, after you get your money, you should bring it back and give it to everybody in the hood. There was nobody in that neighborhood who can understand my thought process and the direction I was going. So why would I come talk to you?
Right.
Especially when every time I did talk to you, instead of trying to help me figure out a way to get it, you were trying to calculate how to get it from me after I got it.
Mm. Hey,
I mean,
guess what? That's the spirit of communism, and that's what Marxism. When it came in America, who did they target? They target the oppressed. See,
mhm.
and this is another truth. Why do you think the whole thing with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, all things started to fall apart? Why they had to eliminate some of them?
Mhm.
Because once they realized the agenda, they're like, no, we gotta shut them up. Malcolm got taken out. Why? Because he knew too much. He realized the whole game. Marxism
Mhm.
was in America. Communism. You will do all the work, and then we shall share it. And guess what? We all share it, and guess what? You get nothing. That's
Right.
communism.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
So
correct.
that's why I always ask myself this. This mindset wasn't really in Black America before World War II. Where that's why I always ask, where did this mentality come from?
That's true.
Infiltrated agents, they were coming out of
Mhm.
nowhere. Because I can't find any history where Black people had this mindset about what is yours is mine. No, everybody was like, hey, let's get up and get a bootstrap. And when it comes to family, there was no, oh, you taking care of your family, you're gonna take care of mine. No, everybody was responsible for themselves. I got my farm. I'm taking care of my family. I'm working hard. I'm not doing this for you. No, we all come together as one, as a community. But guess what? Each do put his own, weight. And then out of
Yeah,
nowhere, the whole thing about civil rights, giving, what you call welfare and all this. Oh, do
That
you
was
ask
the
yourself, where
killer.
did that come from? You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
people
yeah.
don't think
And
about
and
that. Yeah,
and again, going back to what I said before, it's just one of those situations where, you know, before 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 the whole entitlement thing of what we're looking at in the current time, that was going on with us even before that. Because like I said, you just had brothers who just assume, well, we black, so we should look out for each other. No, that's not how that works. I look out for good people. I look out for wise people. I look out for people who can help me and I can help them. That has nothing to do with the color. Well, we all from the hood. We doing the same struggle. Okay, then do like I do. Fight. Don't just
Right.
sit there and wait for me to come rescue you. Because if it's a struggle means putting in the work.
Right. Exactly.
But you don't. But you don't want to do that. You want to just sit there and, like I said, you want to do the same thing to me that you've done to any and every other brother or sister who makes it out. You just think they supposed to give to you, and if they refuse to give to you, your immediate response is to become violent and take it from me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
because in that respect, all you're doing is you're replicating the same actions of the very people you claim to dislike. Because when we made Rosewood, they didn't like that and they came took it. When we made Black Wall Street, they didn't like it and they came took it. You're literally copying the very oppressor you're claiming you're fighting against. So what's the struggle you're discussing? Because it's not the same as mine.
Right.
it's the same mentality that's in Congo. I know here in America they call it. There's a term they said the Messiah complex. It's like everybody they know what's wrong, and some of everybody. You know what? Let's all come together and do something. No, they are looking at each other. Okay, who's gonna go first? Meaning the people don't want to be leaders. They wanna follow. They're like, well, I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the guinea pig. I don't want to be the one taking the first step. Everybody's waiting for a leader, and that's why. And people ask, they say, why dictatorship, lasts so long? Why do dictate? Why? Because everybody's afraid. Everybody is afraid to be the one to stand up. And the
Exactly.
thing is, even if people want to stand up, they say, "Well, why should I stand up for people who don't want to stand up for themselves?" Hey, I'm not gonna stick out as a thumb. So everybody's sitting, waiting, you know. And and I'll say it. There's a lot of things that goes on, but like I say, it's that weakness in man. That's in our blood. It's kind of like, okay, you know, I call it this. There's a French way to say the mob mentality.
Yeah,
Hey,
the mob mentality. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that spirit is
Because,
real.
yeah, because see, that goes back to what I was saying. That's part of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about people who think and act like that. Because what you said nailed it. You nailed it on the head. What they're looking at is for us to do the work, stick our neck out, and if it goes wrong, be the sacrificial lamb, while they get to sit back and just chill. Oh well, I guess he shouldn't have done that. He got taken out for it. Or like I said, it's the opposite. You do it and you succeed, and now they think they just supposed to just go with you. And like my cousin William taught me when I was very young. Here's how it breaks down. It's plain and simple. If you weren't there for the struggle, then don't expect to be part of the success. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
If you didn't put in the work, you didn't put in the effort in the whole 9 yards, you have no right to even come near me or speak to me. You just don't. And I'm sorry. Shalom, brother Vision. How you doing, man?
Yeah. Get in here, Vision. Hello, what's going on, man?
It's
Hey,
big.
how you guys are doing? I'll be throwing a monkey wrench, so I'll let you guys finish the flow because it's regarding what happened this morning between fasting and Brother Lawrence. So yeah, I'll wait.
Don't. Hey, Vision.
Hey,
Don't worry about that, man. That's all forgotten, man. It's a new day.
I know, but there's some things to be added to the story, so you guys can finish your flow, and then I'll say what I gotta say, and I'll leave. I was looking for fasting, so it's coincidental that Lawrence, you're here because you were there this morning, right?
Yes, I was.
Well, I'll go right now. So, regarding this morning, there were some facts that I forgot. So I did end up emailing Dr. Can I say his name, man? I just emailed him, though. Where's his? Why can I say? Oh, I lost it, too. T-Son Johnson. So I ended up emailing him. Just to see. I just cannot say his name properly, though, which I find troublesome. Where's his page here? Anyway, I ended up emailing Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. There you go. Then I went to his page. So try to subscribe, but for whatever reason, my email I could have added to the list. I'm actually trying again. It's rejecting it, so we can figure that out once he emails me back. And then I got more information on the black. Well, I haven't found him yet, but the black person I told you from London, England, who's in Toronto. So the one thing is I went to go see my personal doctor, who's an Iraqi, by the way, and he actually knows the full story. Everything, how like he's seen like the degradation from beginning to end, like going to jail and all that stuff. So he doesn't come back until September the 4th. I know only he can like recommend me to the psychology and therapy programs. You cannot just go by yourself. It has to be recommended by the doctor just because of the way the system works, because basically the government pays for everything up here. So you just got to get in the waiting list, and once your doctor approves everything, you're good to go. So I had put things in motion. It's just that the final nail was that my doctor was on vacation, and he doesn't come back until September the 4th, and I've already made the appointment. So I wasn't happy like how Adrian was coming at me today, because I was like, you don't know what I'm dealing with, right? But that's all. So and fasting, you changed your mind too. You said you would never go on Jessica X's channel, right? And you are. Right, so people do change their minds for the positive. The only person who's kept his word is checking for you regarding that channel.
Excuse
me.
Me. Hey, look, we're gonna try and keep it on topic here. We've been talking about fork and knife church folks, or just fork and knife people in general, people that basically they want all the privileges, but don't bring anything to the table as far as helping to better things. You got anything on that topic, Vision?
Can you add to that? Can you define those terms? Fork, because I do see the title here. Fork and knife.
Basically, they're ready to receive all the privileges, but they don't want to actually put the work in to make anything better, to provide anything for the whole of it.
Yeah, that is that is as a, not all of us suffer from this, but yeah, it's it is a cultural dynamic. I can only speak from what I've seen with my own people. They can become dependent on handouts too much sometimes, to the point where it becomes like a crunch, and so you're always wanting the system to provide for you, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think you have to fend for yourself, right? So like with what I'm dealing with personally, right? Like people can only do so much, and I gotta do the rest of the work. So I don't support it. I think this is what a barber once told me, because he said barbershop talk. He said, and don't take it the wrong way, but I'm just gonna say how he said it. He said sometimes when you're in the toilet, you better shit or get off, right? And sorry, I have to say it that way, but he was just basically telling me, sometimes you gotta make a move in life. You can't sit. You can't just sit there. You gotta make that decision. You gotta take command. Of your mission in life and try to figure things out. People can't do everything for you, is what I'm trying to say. So when it comes to this fork and knife thing, I can only speak on it from personal experiences. Just don't depend on people. You gotta do the work, and then people can meet you halfway. It's the best way I can really. So I don't support it. Am I clear, or do you need me to clarify it more?
No, it's good. It's good right there. It's good right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty decent.
Okay.
Brother Fast and Brother Lawrence, y'all got anything else to add?
Well, I see a lot of people are coming into the building.
Yes, they are. They are. Yeah. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way in. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for listening.
Yeah. Now I guess the next question is how to solve the problem, or if it's either how to solve the problem, or is it even something worth solving, because people will be who they are.
There's only one answer as far as I'm concerned, and that's to cut them off. The people that they're unproductive, they're lazy. Just like I mentioned earlier, the Almighty doesn't allow fence sitters. He doesn't. If you're not working towards it, you're not a part of it. So you're on the other side. So the only option is to separate ourselves from those people. It's your track record. If you're not doing it, if you're not working towards it, hey, you're over there with them, and that's where you got to stay until your work and your track record shows something else, that you actually changed and that you're actually willing to put something in. You have no choice but to cut the sales off. That's the only thing I see. Like we were talking about earlier, the split fasting.
Yeah. That's what I say. Things are very simpler once you understand it. And like you were saying earlier about the application of the knowledge you have, that's the thing. Wisdom is knowledge applied. What's the point of knowing all these things and then you're not applying it? And that's what's happening in the world. And applying it, there's a satisfaction because you'll be like, man, this is, I did it and it works, right? And I'll put it this way. I'll give an example. I met somebody that I overheard that was quote unquote racist or something. I think it was at a workplace. And everybody wanted, the person was coming. Everybody is panicking, right? That, you gotta do, present yourself. Guess what? I was like, he's just like another human being like me, right? Because the most I say, treat others as you like to be treated. I didn't, yes, of course you were nervous. This is like a higher up coming in the building. But guess what? I talked to them and I had a conversation and stuff like that, because the reason why he came down, there was if someone stole something. I used to work at a retail store, right? So he's the loss and prevention manager. He was a black guy, very tall too. So when he was coming in, my store manager, everybody was panicking, right? they're like, oh my God, we in trouble, right?
Right.
And I'm one of the stalker guys. So when I came in, they had somebody from another store who was covering somebody, and he was the one who stole it. We found out later. But what happened is when he stole, I came in, right? And then I saw, the pack, usually they put it in plastic wraps. So he cut it and stole a laptop. And then when I came in on my shift, right, in the camera, they could basically they found out later. So what they were doing is they were asking to see who's gonna be honest, right? So when they came to me, right, and they asked me, they saw me in a room, you know how they're doing the intervention, and
Right.
you're there on the spot. Some people get nervous. I was there calm. I'm like, so he asked me, he said, so this is what happened. We don't know what happened. He said, what do you know? Right? So he's looking at me like, when they're like, okay, we know you did something, so let's see if you're gonna lie. I was like, I don't know about what happened. I told him my schedule and everything, but before I left, I was like, you know what? I'll tell you what I know. According to the scripture, it says nothing can happen without the outside, because they were trying to sell maybe a customer. So I'm like, it's always somebody from the inside. When I say that, you know what they did? All of them look at each other. They said, "Oh, you really think so?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, something like this cannot come from the outside. Somebody from the inside has to do it, because they have access. They said, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your time. We'll inform you whenever we find the culprit." Guess what? Even my store manager came to me. She's like, "You're something else." He's like, "How did you know?" I'm like, "Well, it's one thing I learned from my parents, and the scriptures. It says you're not gonna get any flag. It will come from between the legs, and you can stay to a scripture and life." The people who took Malcolm, it wasn't the quote unquote white man. It was his own people, the people who he was part of. It's the same thing. That's how it is, So I applied the knowledge that I had when I was in a situation where it seemed like, oh, it's dire. But from that experience, I was like, you know what? In this world, if you have a knowledge, apply it. You don't know where it's gonna lead you. Some of the people that I've met, that I've connected with, was based on me applying the knowledge that I have. It's great to know a lot of stuff, but what's the point if you can use it? It's like, why do I need a car if I never drive it? What's the point? You have a car, a nice brand new Lamborghini, but you never drive it for 20 years. Why did you have it? Why?
Right.
You spend the money to buy, use it, drive, take a break, take a vacation, go somewhere, drive 200 miles per hour going to Arizona or something,
Right. Vision, you have anything to add to the question that Brother Lawrence just asked about how do we solve this problem?
Yeah, but may I tell a short story and then see if you guys can follow what I'm trying to say?
Is it on the topic?
It's on the topic. Like when I used to, it is on the topic, but I do have to deviate. Just let me tell the story. Like when I remember I was watching a documentary on the welfare system, like how the welfare system started. If I recall correctly, it's somewhere between, like, I don't have the dates and places in my mind anymore. Somewhere between England and Germany, somewhere in that vicinity. And then there was a girl that people were hungry, people were starving, and this is the time when the church and the state were connected, and basically the churches were just. It was during a bad time. So almost like what we're having now with the pandemic. Things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. And so the church could only do so much. It could only feed so many people. And this girl basically decided to get pregnant on purpose, and basically just went but the church would not help her. Every time she would go, she would turn away. So what she did was she got pregnant on purpose, then went to the church doorstep, and was about to have the baby, and the nuns came out, and of course, behind the scenes, the clergymen ran things, but the nuns were sort of like the front service people, kind of like what you have with social workers. And then the nuns, they had no choice. They were overfilled, and they said, we're not going to break this rule, but we're not going to let this child, have a baby in front of here and we do nothing. So they had to break the rules, and then they basically brought her in. So she circumvented the system so she could eat. It wasn't for her baby, it was for herself. So the bigger story is when governments are trying to manage humanity, yes, we have a sector that's just unproductive, that feeds off the productive section, right? So MOT, when he says bunk beds, MOT is saying, yeah, we'll help you, but this is how I'm going to help you. I'm going to get bunk beds. I'm going to buy the Section 8 property, and you guys can stay there and figure things out. So I'm just trying to say, governments. I live in a socialist country, unfortunately. So I've seen how social programs work. Yet, what happens when socialist programs go too far? And when socialist programs go too far, for example, employment insurance, or if you get hurt, disability insurance, and these things, the people that don't deserve it take advantage of it, and then the people that really need it are the ones who get locked out because sometimes they're too honest. And then the system tries to put in constrictions to like legislate this. How do we know who's telling the truth and who's not? And it's so like it's difficult for me to say, because basically you have to set up a quarantine zone and then see if you can. They say a one round apple spoils a bunch, right? But when it comes to human beings, I think it's a little bit more complex. So if you set up a quarantine zone for the non-productive human beings, which you are seeing in a lot of the dystopian movies, the futuristic movies, where the science fiction movies, they show you what's going to happen. Even the video games are telling you, they're going to be separating sectors where the well-to-do are going to be high up somewhere in a loft, in lofty in the sky, and the people who can't figure their life out are just going to be stuck on the ground trying to figure things out. And basically, what I don't know. I don't think it's proper to just let them all die. But I think in our situation with how the hood is being run, I agree with what MOT has been saying. Let them starve themselves out is what's been said in this sector. And then the productive ones keep it moving. And then when it comes to trying to save the young men, unfortunately, these young men are growing up in single mother households, and the father isn't anywhere around. You got to pull that young man out of that situation as quickly as possible, or he's also going to get tainted, and there's no recovery. And there's a certain age where there is no recovery, But I cannot say that because I'm still trying to fix myself, trying to take responsibility. When the constrictions were not there, you get sick and tired of the nonsense. So you have to realize, when things. What did Einstein say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I know I didn't say it properly, but you know what I'm saying, right? So, like when it comes to managing unproductive people in our society and unproductive people, what they're doing to themselves, there has to come a point where you realize I gotta try something different, and then this is where you start reaching out to different people, and if they have the time and the will and the resources, they will do their best to help you. But you gotta show a will. When you go to university or college and you're taking a STEM program, and nobody's going to be there to hold your hand with the calculus and physics and all the engineering programs. You're just going to falter out if you're not focused. So it's sort of, I've heard the word attrition. I've heard this word in this space lately. Attrition will always find its way to weed you out anyway if you're not on your purpose. And then, like, people at the Black Brain Trust, they're trying to help, but they're not going to help everybody. They're only going to help those who are willing to help themselves by giving you the resources you need, and then the rest is up to you. And that's my best way to explain.
That was pretty decent. That was pretty decent. Seriously, I mean, it took a little bit of the long way around, but I get what you're saying. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So my question.
Take the long way around, but it was good.
Yeah. So my question.
Bad. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. So my question. So
you broke out of it.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so that's better.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you're good now,
excellent.
as far as I can tell.
Okay. So my question, Vision, is, like I said, it's just a simple, basic question with a simple, basic answer. Do you think we'll have more success saving, or do you think we'll have more success cutting out and letting them fall by the wayside?
More success cutting off and letting them fall by the wayside. Yeah, nature works like that.
Okay. All right.
I agree.
Sounds good.
I agree. You fasting?
You know, if you try to save everybody, you end up like Christ on a cross.
Ooh, and the only thing is, none of us are him, so
Yeah, there
it's
you
gonna
go.
be all for naught if we're up there.
That's why the scripture says only a remnant shall be saved. A remnant
Yeah.
is wide is the gate and broad is the way that lead to the destruction.
Yes.
Narrow is the
Yes.
path and few find it.
Right.
Let me preach to the choir for a second. So you guys know your Bibles, right? So I'm not very well versed on the Bible. I will read it from front to back. Me and Fasting actually had a conversation in the back. So Eisen, you were talking the other day about yeah, the knowledge of good and evil, right? And then there's knowledge of life, right? Not knowledge of, I think, the tree of life, and then the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And
Right.
to make a long story short, for whatever reason, Adam, well, it was Eve first, and then Adam followed through. But Adam was supposed to be responsible for everything that Eve did, and they ate off the apple, and then they had the knowledge of a good and evil. And so, in an essence, they became like gods. And of course, it's the Most High, and I'm not talking about that, but they became gods, as in they now knew the knowledge of good and evil. So before that, basically, they were being governed by God and by the Almighty, and the system was being governed. But once we or they ate of that tree, then there was a separation, and God says, "Okay, now that you can see both, now you have knowledge of good and evil. So you have free will. You must make the right decisions." And if you look at where society has gone, we have not, as a collective, we have not been operating like what a God would, or a higher being would. Because if you're managing yourself, and you take responsibility of yourself, you deep down inside yourself, you know from right or wrong. You know if you're hurting somebody, you know if you're taking advantage of somebody, you know if you're cheating somebody, right? And then Jesus Christ said, "Do unto others as you want done unto yourself." So like, if why would I want to cheat fasting if I don't like being cheated? There's a disconnect there still. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Um. And on your point about Adam and Eve, ultimately, he was responsible for his own decision to eat of the fruit. She had already been informed to not eat of it, which she had told the serpent. But in reality, what they gained was knowledge of evil. But the thing is that you can't appreciate anything until it's gone. So they didn't know what good was until they actually took on the knowledge of evil. But of course, the thing is also to take out of that is that their their reasons for eating of it was very different, um, and which is why her punishment was much more harsh than his, because her reason of eating for it was so she could become God and have control. While he ate out of it because of his love and of her, and he didn't want to see her suffer the punishment alone, which is why his punishment was far less different, which you could tell as men, whenever the Almighty told him that his punishment will be to work to the sweat of his brow. And as men, whenever we accomplish a task, you feel the refreshingness, the good, how good you feel in achieving something that's worthwhile in doing so. That's what that comes from. It's
Yeah,
shown in that. It's evidence in that.
yeah.
Fasting. You have
But
That's what
anything
you're
to
right.
add next?
I would say you're right on that because as a man, I don't like getting free. Like, yeah, you get free stuff, but it never satisfies. That's why I give an
Right.
example. When I actually buy the fruit, right? Like, okay, I go to a store, they serve me. There's a different thing actually me cooking my food, cutting the oranges, putting them on the table, and eating the food that I actually spent 2 hours cooking. There is no other satisfaction. Why? Because I did it. That's why
true.
men was a solution based. We have to work hard, and it doesn't mean hard like we're just cutting your no. When you say working hard, meaning accomplishing something. Like I remember when I was trying to work on my children's book. When I didn't finish it, I felt uneasy. I felt like okay, I'm not done. Guess what? When I finished the whole project, guess what? I felt like in my mind being relieved. Why? Because I now have the evidence of my accomplishment. I'm holding a copy of a printed book that I worked on for a month. So that feeling, it's irreplaceable. Where if I would have given it to somebody else to do it for me, I'll be like, yeah, that's good, but it's not. It's never satisfying. Where I did everything. I'm the writer. I'm the one who drew everything. I'm the one who paid the order. I'm the one who did everything, so that nobody can take credit. And there's no other feeling than accomplishing something by your own strength that was given to you by the Most High. There's no other feelings.
Brother Lawrence.
I'm it. It's interesting because there's two thoughts that come into my head based off what Vision said, and it's very interesting to look at it from his perspective, and I'm not sure if I got it right. If I didn't, then Vision correct me. But there's two things to look at this. With Eve being the one who bit the apple first, and Adam going there and biting it after her because he didn't want her to suffer the punishment alone. In and of itself, he made a decision that he's going to place the woman before the creator. That's number one. The second thing is that, truth be told, even though Eve was an individual person who made that decision on her own, it can't be forgotten that, if I remember correctly, everything within the garden, the Most High gave Adam dominion over. And with her being in that garden, he has dominion over her. And yet she still did what she did. So he is responsible to a degree. Am I getting that point of view? Is that where you were going, Vision?
I'm gonna say yes and no. I would just everything you said is correct because I don't have enough knowledge to sort of really like come back with a positive or negative of what you said. I wasn't coming from a point of view of you're right about dominion over everything, because that's what it says. He got to name everything. He got to name the animals. He got to the dominion aspect. You're 100% correct. But I was just coming from, like, we were managed, right? We were under higher management, and now we've been trying to manage ourselves ever since, and we've pretty much failed at it. That's where I was coming from. As we're trying to help, like, and fasting said even better. Jesus Christ tried to save everybody and got crucified for it, and how many people throughout history that have tried to help got crucified by their own by their own people. Like, I don't have the list of names anymore, but there's been many fallen messiahs, and that story goes back somewhere else. But let me reel myself back in. I was just trying to get at it from a management perspective of how we're having such issues managing ourselves, and how even the righteous people have a hard time dealing with the unrighteous, and sometimes you have to have like gated communities and get separated, and and try to get past racism and all that stuff, right? But from where you come from, the part that I'm kind of attaching myself to is that Adam had dominion over Eve. He had dominion over. He was given dominion. He was able to name everything, and he basically, from the story, because I'm looking at it from an allegory perspective. There's another word I cannot have, like a symbolic perspective. Yeah, Adam picked Eve over God too, as well. I agree with that. I've never thought about it that way. So sorry. I would have to listen to it again.
No. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I just thought the way you put it actually made me think about it. In the second in the first capacity. The second capacity other than the first, because I've always looked at it from the Eve Adam perspective and etc. and so on. But thinking about it from the fact that he was giving charge, management, as you say, over everything, and he had dominion over everything in the garden, and the one thing he couldn't control was the chick. So I just thought that was funny. I just thought that was funny.
And that's what's going on today. Still today, it's still the same.
He had a choice, because if you look at the Hebrew word, when it says that that the Most High gave Adam the dominion and to subdue it, that's the reason why the serpent came, because the power that Adam was to dominate over the fallen ones. And then when you look at the word subdue, What is subdue? Is it going, hey, do what I tell you? No, subdue means to wrestle, to put under foot, force.
Yeah.
So, but nowhere does it say that when Adam was naming the animal, he used force. No, the animals were what? They were in submission already.
That's right. They were already in while she wasn't.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
talking about
Exactly.
you gotta use force when it comes to submission. It wasn't only over the woman, but over to the fallen one. And notice the serpent never went to Adam. So now the question is, you don't think Satan knew Adam had the power over him? But why did
You
he go
know,
to
you know, fast. And I think here's the thing: the people. I think people get it twisted in thinking that he hadn't already tried him. The problem was the simple fact that he didn't have Eve yet. That Eve was his greatest weakness.
Oh yeah, oh
So,
yeah.
so once she came along, that's whenever he looked and noticed how she really, she pretty much had him around his finger, her finger rather, and that's when he said, "Oh, I got him now because I got her."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
guess what? That's why he does the same thing. What does he do? Oh, you don't want to obey me? Okay, women and children, I'm holding them hostage. Give in, and that's another history. When you study what happened here in the Americas, they did the same thing also in Africa, where the colonizers, they will basically uh hold the family hostage, to basically make the man submit. Because why? And me sometimes, I'll be right to come like, guess what? I'll be like, well, I believe in a resurrection. You go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna see them again. I can always have another one. But guess what? When I return with a vengeance, you're gonna feel my wrath. So you can use them as a hostage. So, but because of that, basically the Most High is showing like the love that man has towards the woman and the children. Sometimes it's used. So it's kind of like the goodness that's in us is used against us. That's how I say that. That's how I say how the evil of this world, that the good people, their goodness is used to be taken advantage of. Like, think about this, right? There's nothing wrong with helping people, but guess what? Like the Most High says, you have to be wise. Just because you have to willing to help people doesn't mean you have to help people. Some people cannot be helped. They have to get on their own feet. They can't
Yeah.
wait for manna to fall from the sky, because the Most High has shown an example. People do not appreciate things that are given to them freely. They
This
have
is
to
true.
earn it. Yeah.
That's true.
And
That's
it
true.
comes down to education, because a lot of people have been brainwashed. They've been fed. They weren't given the right information. Because think about it: if you teach a child that they have to earn something, they will never beg. Like, and it's speaking about that. I'll put it this way: me, even if I'm struggling, it has to be something like very, very urgent, where I'll go to somebody and actually put myself in a position of weakness to be like, hey, bro, I need like it's not, I hate being in that position. I'm like, if I'm not earning something by doing like an equal exchange, I can just go there and just get, it's hard for me, but like for some people, they were never given that mindset that, hey, you gotta get things on your own straight. You can just receive something. You gotta exchange. You mean you gotta give something to get something. And some people, they don't have that mindset. And because the majority rules, a lot of people have that mindset. So it's like it works against you if you have the goodness in your heart to help, because now you're gonna be the what they call the lake.
Can I add to that quickly? Fasting. Interesting what you said. I'm gonna share. We all went to high school, and I think most of us grew up in the hoods. And unfortunately, some of your good friends end up going on the wrong side of the track. And so as I was going through my journey through high school, some of my close friends, or people that I thought were close friends, ended up becoming drug dealers. And one of them became one of the biggest drug dealers in the city I live in. Like at one time, they had rankings and everything like that, right? Number one, like Afro Samurai with my thing here. I'm number one. And what happened was he got so big that the triad ended up kidnapping his daughter and tying him up, and the dude had to give up. And I'm talking about the Asian triad. So that's how big he got, and he had to give up $100,000 right there on the spot as the story is told, and he had it and he had to give it up. And if they didn't, something was going to happen to his daughter. It was his only daughter at the time, and so he didn't want her any harm to come to her. And then I spoke to my other friend about it, who's also considers himself a bad man. This is what they call themselves down here when they're into the drug game. I told him, what do you think about that? He said, yeah, you know what? I would have let them do whatever they want with my daughter and kill her, but just know that I'm gonna go after their entire family, and I will never stop. I'm gonna destroy every single one of them. And so that's how he would have dealt with it, by basically letting his daughter die, right? But I'm not a father, so that would be a difficult decision to make. But even like when you back in the day with the Colombians and all that stuff, and they used to kidnap your daughters and kidnap your family members to make bosses. Yeah, but I'm just saying
a little bit off topic.
No. The point what Fassi was saying, they will use your family as a trope against you. And the one thing about Eve in the space is, like, you always hear that these women are like children, and basically the way Adam was caring for Eve, she was a child basically, and she made a childish mistake. Here, I closed it out right there.
Right, she did that. Brother Lawrence.
No, I was just thinking of how we got here with due to Adam and Eve and the machinations of the serpent himself. And it just fascinates me because you look at Adam, and depending on what texts and scriptures you read from, he had 3 times to get it right. The first time he got rid of the ratchet chick. The second time he got rid of the unicorn. And the third time he got Eve. It's mind-boggling. I'm just sitting here letting all of it roll in my head, and I'm laughing to myself. Because like I said, Lilith was the first one, seeking true domination over Adam in the whole 9 yards. And she got kicked out of the garden because of her madness. And then you think about the one maid who got kicked out because Adam had difficulty watching how she was made. And then the third one, Eve being taken from his rib. It's just fascinating. I'm just sitting here, just it's all running through my head, and I'm just laughing in a good way.
Which one is the unicorn though? Because Lilith got kicked out, and then Eve.
The unicorn is the second one. Okay, when Eve was created, when Lilith was created, right? Lilith had this thing about dominating Adam during sex, which is why she was always on top, and etc. and so on. And I can't remember which one wasn't thrilled about it, whether it was Adam or the Most High, but she was kicked out. That's why, as a matter of fact, when you look at Lilith, the mother of demons, that's who they're talking about. They're talking about that woman.
Yeah, the mother of witchcraft. Yep.
Right. Yeah. Now the second one, the Most High literally made her from scratch right in front of Adam. He watched her as each layer was built one on top of the other. And after seeing that, Adam was disgusted by what he's seen. Because you got to remember, up until then, he's never saw anything made like that. He never saw the insides of anything. And he was disgusted and terrified at what he saw. So he rejected her, and she ran out of the garden and left in tears and shame. And that's the unicorn. I mean,
what's her name?
So that's I mean,
does she have a name?
They never.
Oh. Okay.
I'm assuming based on the story, she was never there long enough to get one. So I mean, he immediately rejected her after he saw her being made. And that's my assumption on the name thing. I'm just making that assumption. I don't have anything proof that was the reason for it. And then the
You're Borging there,
Most High.
Brother Lawrence.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
And the next one, which was Eve, what happened is the Most High put Adam into a deep sleep, and that's when he took the rib and he made her without Adam seeing her. And that's how we got Eve. I mean, in a very condensed version.
Right. Yeah.
But
I guess. And here's my thing. there is no such thing as a unicorn outside of cartoons and television.
Well,
Because here,
the only reason I call her that is because she was never around long enough to prove wrong. That's the only
Got
reason.
you.
That's the only reason I call her.
got you, because of the simple fact is, if if you are in love with them, as he was with Eve, they'll all turn out to be Lilith.
Yeah, bottom line,
It's just what it is. Because whenever you are in love with them, you give them your power.
But the concern about Eve and the reason why I think Eve disturbs us more than any of the other possible two, Lilith and the other one, I think the reason Eve bothers us so much is because, unlike the other two, Eve is a living embodiment of us. She is built from us. And sometimes, and I could be wrong, this is just me doing my whole philosophy thing and psychology and all that. But there's always this thing that, knowing that unlike the first two, Eve is literally made from us. She is made from our rib. And therefore, for the grace of God, she is a representation of us. And that means we have the same capacity to be that type of person that she is.
Right. I agree there.
And it carries so much more weight because we're looking at ourselves in them hurting ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And the other thing that I take out of it, with my theory or whatever you want to call it, is this other simple fact: she was made from him, because she's made from his genetic tissue to be able, for one, to have an attachment to him, and two, to be able to understand him on an emotional level, to be able to better serve his purpose. So she is supposed to be a reflection of him. But because of the simple fact that she knows her status, she knows that she is lesser. She's envious of that. It had always been there, and the serpent just watered that seed that was there. He just watered that envy that was there, that God had given Adam the authority to rule while she did not have it. And I think that, speaks to the simple fact of how you cannot, fall in love with them, because they are envious of that simple fact. That they're envious of our genetic advantage to be able to have power, to be able to dominate without having to use I just drew a blank on the word. Without having to use manipulation to be able to dominate or to gain power. They have to, because they don't have the power to exercise that over you. They didn't have it until, of course, feminism came in. Of course, they manipulated that simple fact to get it, to give for men to give that power over to them. Fasting. Oh, my bad.
No. Fasting.
Can I go first?
Oh no, I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess he's listening. Then go ahead, Vision.
Basically, you asked a question, Brother Lawrence. How did we get into the Adam Eve story? No, it was just it was from a management perspective. It was basically like, because basically we were talking about should we separate from the productive and unproductive people, and I was looking at it from just follow me for a moment. I know I'm all over the place, but I was looking at it from a governmental. How governments work across the globe. Now, I don't know the nuts and bolts of how governments work, yet they function. So you guys basically you live, you have your own system that you live with that I cannot really describe. But where I'm at, we live in a system that's a little more socialist. And for lack of a better terms, from what I saw, if you want to make it in the USA, the handouts weren't going to do anything for you out there. Like, you couldn't live off welfare. You had to get a job. And you basically get a job where you were qualified, whether it was a professor or a truck driver or a bus driver. But you had to work in that system. Where in my system, there's a lot of safety nets that can become crutches to you getting serious and getting on your purpose. And also, the high taxes don't really help. So the middle class where I'm at really struggle. and they don't get anywhere. But the whole point was, I was trying to, like, I was just seeing how governments across the world, whether wrong or right, how do they manage their societies? How do they organize chaos? Like, how do people just fit into that picture? You know, you have a government, you have we have a parliament, you have you have a senate, and then you have your local municipalities, and just how it all works. You know, for us here, we have local, provincial, and then federal, and it's just the fascination of how the right and the wrong people get into positions of power, and how they all just come and try to work together. And so I went to the Bible story just because, from my perspective, in the Bible, and because you guys are, you guys are Bible people, and you understand the Bible. I was coming from that perspective. From what I saw in the Bible and from what I read, basically we were under management and everything was okay. And then all of a sudden we decided to, take a little too much and take on too much, and it's never been under control ever since. So I'm just coming from a management perspective because of how do we deal with unproductive people, and the conclusion that we have come to is leave them, and because when if the economy fails, that attrition word that I need to go research. If the economy totally fails, no government to do anything for you, you're on your own. No welfare. No courts, no nothing. It's going to be every man for himself, and a lot of these women are going to suffer. So I see governments working hard during this economic reset across the globe, not to let it just fall on its wayside. Like, they're trying to prevent the Great Depression. Even though people are going to lose homes, people are going to go homeless, people are going to, they don't. The world moves on. They don't care. Yet they care.
Well, rolling that into the whole forks and knives thing, I think that that management does play a key part. There's no question to that. But the issue becomes is that the issue of management be based on what people think for them. I think the management aspect should be you managing your own individual self, and through that, your wife, your children, your family, your closest friends who you consider family, etc., and so on. I don't disagree with you. I just think from a management perspective that has to be something you have to do individually. And everything you're saying about what's coming future wise, as far as the economy and the government and everything else crashing and falling, that's standard. Every government falls eventually. There's never been one on this planet that didn't. So like I said, I do agree with you. I absolutely do. But that management aspect, that's why it's important for you to manage yourself, especially as men, because if we manage ourselves, we discipline ourselves, we get ourselves straight, and we, whatever terms we like to use, get our bag, be on our purpose, whatever it is, we can weather the storm better than everybody else who you yourself just said won't. And that's why it's important. That's why at the end of the day, those forks and knives people that Aizen so eloquently named are going to be the ones who will viciously and violently, more often than not, come after those of us who did do what we were supposed to. That's the whole point of the Most High saying we're supposed to be good stewards, because he knows there will be winters coming. And he knows that if we are on point and we do what we're supposed to, and we follow the tenets and commandments that he gave us, we will weather that storm, because there's never been a promise he's made that he did not break. And he told us if we do what he asks, he will have us. We will be protected. But like I said, from the management perspective, yeah, you're right. The government and all that stuff manages, and they doing it poorly. But you cannot be held at fault if you manage yourself properly. And therefore, everything else will fall into the positions it should. I don't know if I said that.
No, you said it. You said it perfectly. And the other day, yesterday, you were talking about knowing your laws, and you explained to us how you should deal with the police. So men are natural managers. Even in the word manager, you have manager. So that is your natural position. And I just want to say this: in the West, man, I'm starting to realize we got it pretty good, man. We got it, like places like Somalia. Sorry, I gotta pick on that. But places in other parts of the world, man, it's a Mad Max world out there, bro. It's a Mad Max world. It's the best way I can explain it, man. If you saw those movies with the, sorry, that's all.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up here. I try to keep everything less than 2 hours. So I'm gonna let people get off their closing statements here. We're gonna close it down. I want to thank everyone for coming out to listen, and I want to thank you three for coming up to the panel. I guess I'll start off with fasting.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for awesome show. I really appreciate it. And since I finished my stream like around 4, I was like, "Hey, I'll give the mentor to you, bro." So you did a good job. We had more people show up, and hopefully, we're gonna have more coming in. So we just have to be patient. And I shared your video on like different groups I'm in on Facebook. So
Okay.
hopefully,
Thank
for people click on it. I always do almost every brother that I listen here, whenever they have a stream, I share on those Facebook groups. I mean, there's one group. It's called Kemet versus Israelites. The final battle. It's like from years ago when the conscious community used to battle Israelites and stuff like that. So they had a Facebook page, and I've been in there ever since. So it's there's a lot of drama in there, but it's all good sport. So
you. Yeah.
I just share on those kind of pages and stuff like this. So I really appreciate it, man, and I'll stay tuned on the next one.
All
Who
right.
knows that maybe the stream again to me, and I'll throw in another stream. But it looks like late this afternoon there's gonna be a lot of people
Yeah.
streams because, like I told you, that topic about the Mike Oliver guy.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see. Jessica's already got one. She's got one planned for around
Yeah.
7:15 for that. Yeah. Brother Lawrence.
Um, uh, just, just stand tall, man. Weather the storm and keep doing what you're doing. Be on your purpose. Always trust and believe. The Most High is with you, even if you don't believe it. He is. As He told us many a times, He has known no other people but us. So that's a love that can't be denied. Outside of that, as always, men first.
All right. Vision.
Oh, and thank
Okay.
you for having me. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
you're welcome. Thank you.
My final thought is I'll just piggyback on what I said on Fasting's channel before I left. I'm glad I found the space. I came, but I got to give shout outs to the people that I came through. If it wasn't for the Black Brain Trust, I would have never have been aware of this little space called the Black Manosphere, which is as if you guys have noticed, there's you have a lot of I'm more focused on the men. The women have their own thing going, and I'm not really concerned about what they're about. The men is you have men from England. There's a lot of men from the UK in this space that are doing their thing. You have a few of us from Canada. There's actually one guy from Toronto that goes to Ramil's channel, and he has a lot to speak, and is a business owner. Toronto is basically a mini New York. And then most of the guys in the space are from the USA, whether it be New York, California, and the rest, right? Houston, and you guys share excellent perspective. The one thing is, and I'll say this is, the image of a black people successful, whether it be in trucking, whether it be in blue collars having their own plumbing companies, whether it be in IT, cybersecurity. I didn't see it over here. It didn't mean it didn't exist. I just didn't see it in my environment. If I was in Toronto, if I was in Montreal, it would have been a different story, right? And you got to think now of other black young men growing up in areas where they're not going to see. The only way for them to see this is through such a space, because they don't really promote this in media, or news, like highly effective and successful black men. So based on that point, I've learned a lot from this space. Yes, there's other sectors that have kind of gone off the rails. You have the gaming sector there. And when I say game, you know what I'm talking about. They're doing their thing over there. And then you got the other sectors that are saying, let's be on your purpose. And there's this there's a little bit of a push and a pull. But you know what I mean by that. Just go where you're more comfortable. I think you should be part of the spaces that are more conducive, are more healthy to the state of mind you're in. And then you do what you do. So I'm just saying, sometimes I think it's taken for granted how unique this space is to have black men, talking about issues and try to solve issues, whether it be from child support, feminism, marriage, why get married, why don't get married, why get out of your environment, why get a passport, why travel, things like that. And I'm preaching to the choir, so yeah, I think we take it for granted how important this space is, but I appreciate it.
All right. And lastly, I'm gonna finish it off with hopefully here within the next few weekends I'll have some guys on from that are content creators. I think I'm be having one lined up for the 5th of September sometime. We just gotta kind of make sure and schedule wise and everything for timing. And whenever we get all that settled up, I'll let y'all know exactly who and what day. But I think there'll be some guests that will be enjoyed, and their point of view and perspectives will be enjoyed. So I just want to leave you all with that and just say, hey, thanks for coming out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on the way out. And peace, everybody.
Thank you for
Much
having me, and
love.
peace.